Banana is still there. Yes, it's like seniority.
He's still wiry, he can probably take me. I'm fine, it doesn't have to be a big deal. And York just lost two.
We did one.
Play shorts.
Well, this thing times out if you don't. When it times out.
Did you? I was gonna say.
January 18th, 2022. January 18th, 2022.
It's nice to have it. It's not high five. Yeah, I'm a.
Everybody good? Great. Good evening, everyone. At this time, I'd like to call to order this January 18th, 2022 Borough meeting. Would you please rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Lloyd? Here. Ms. Miller? Here. Mr. Seitz?
Here.
Mr. Strom?
Here.
Ms. Willenbecker? Here. Mr. Rettinger?
Here.
Mr. Kliskevich is not going to be attending tonight due to illness.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to report on an executive session that was held last meeting. We discussed real estate, personnel, and potential litigation. At this time, do I have public comment on agenda items?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Robert Boninger, 138 Ann Street. Just bring it to your attention that our code enforcement is doing a terrific job. However, our United States Post Office is not. I received 2 letters the same day from our codes officer. No problem. I'm a law-abiding citizen. On the back, it's a return receipt requested. As you will see, it is on the original letter. So if I was a dishonest person, I never got either one of these letters. So the post office is ripping us off for $7.33 because these are not being returned. And I'm reasonably sure if I would go to the district justice and not do any of the stuff that was prescribed in the letters, it would be dismissed because they have no proof. Al has no proof that I ever received this letter. So the post office is ripping you guys off, and it's just not happening to me. It's probably happening throughout the borough and possibly the United States. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. That's good to know. Any other public comment on agenda items? Seeing none. Agenda item number 1.
With the approval of our meeting minutes, do I have a motion to approve council meeting minutes for January 3rd, 2022, meeting as submitted?
Second.
Motion by Councilor Seitz, second by Councilor Willenbecker. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries with 1 no. Agenda item number 2.
Do I have a motion to approve payment of bills as shown on the accounts payable list dated January 13th, 2022, which is for the period of January 1, 2022 through January 13th of 2022, and to ratify the approval of such bills already paid and to authorize the appropriate officials to take the required actions to make those payments.
So moved.
Second. Approved by Councilor Miller, second by Councilor Seitz. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 3.
That will be my report. Item number 1 on my report is in regarding to the pool opening this year. This is a time of year where we look to advertise for hiring an aquatics director, and I'm asking for your permission to go ahead and make that advertisement at the recommendation put on the agenda that we can do it at February 1st. Anybody have a problem putting that on the February 1st agenda for your?
Does anybody want to discuss it? I know there was, anybody at all want to discuss the topic? Okay.
You received any report on the amount of money raised?
I had not, I don't know if the borough has.
I have not seen one. I don't think Sally. Sally, have you seen a report on money raised for the pool? Do you have anything?
I don't have anything. Ken,
Yes.
Where will these positions be advertised?
Well, we'll put it on our Facebook and we'll put it in there for paper, and we usually use Indeed.
Thank you.
There is a sample ordinance in your packet regarding chickens being allowed in the borough, so if you want to look at that. If you have looked at it or have any questions, it's in there for your review and discussion.
Yeah, there are a couple of different types in there. What you'll see is probably the most comprehensive approach is actually a tandem zoning ordinance and then also an animal regulation ordinance, kind of hitting it from both angles. But we've been talking about this periodically. The big issues are, do you want to allow it? What kind of terms? You will see, there's a big difference. Probably the majority of them that allow it, you'll see have minimum size yards, things like that. Most of them don't allow roosters because of the noise, but some do. Recollection, we were up to Humbolstown, I think Humbolstown does allow roosters. Really? If I'm remembering that right, quote me on that, but that's the stuff you have to wrestle with, especially in a borough because of how tight everybody is. And then, we'll have a minimum size, and then is going to be as you'll see, some of the common things are how many you can have. Usually they're restricted. You can't be running a little business where you're selling eggs, that kind of stuff. They're to be pets, not a business, because it's not agriculture. Although, you guys are the masters of that set of rules, so you can go wherever you want with it. With the zoning, you do always have to remember on the zoning piece. Now, again, that's probably another reason to have two pieces of this, but once you give certain rights under zoning, they can get grandfathered, become non-conforming uses if you try to pull it back later. So you always want to be a little careful about, experimenting too much with something. Or like, we'll see how it works out. It might be once you start, whatever that rule is, somebody starts a lawful use, they get to continue that lawful use as a non-conforming use, or people call grandfathered use, potentially, forever. So I don't know how much we want to talk about or in a work session, but this topic has come up several times, and I know there are folks in the borough that would like to see it happen, and there are also some folks that are concerned about it, and that's your job to figure out, how we want to approach it. But we can talk about the different concepts, but usually it's as basic as you're regulating what's that impound area going to be? Do they have to be does it have to be enclosed chicken coops? Do you have to have a minimum size area from the run? Do Usually there are pretty strict regulations with handling the manure and cleanup and that sort of thing. And like I said, you could have it as wide open as, yes, you can sell the chickens, you can sell the eggs. That's very rare, you know, especially in residential. Unlike the townships around you that have agricultural areas, and you're, you know, really dealing with more of a pet situation as opposed to, you know, agricultural business.
I don't think any of you probably have time to really read through it, so if you want to take that time and discuss it at a future meeting, because I think this came in just.
Yeah, there's not really a set procedure for this. Obviously, you know, at some point you have the public, you know, there would be an ordinance or a set of ordinances, but it probably makes more sense to have a discussion on the agenda for public input before you were locking into a draft of an ordinance.
Can you pull the CDC study on this?
The CDC study?
Yeah, they did on this.
Yeah,
So I think it would be helpful.
yeah. And, you know, and often, once you open the door to this, the discussion, you will get sometimes, you know, also people that have pigs or what have, you know, something else.
Yeah, it's just not noise, it's also aesthetics. You know, I had a family member who lives rural, who had a chicken coop and net over it, fencing and all that. But frankly, if you take a residential neighborhood and start making it look more like a farm atmosphere in my book, depending on how these pens are built and constructed.
Some people love them, though. I mean, it's,
Mr. Sykes?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I just want to go on the record as I would be against it because like, Mr. Diamond stated, my fear is what's next. Is it going to be pigs? You know, what's the next step? You know, how do we just allow chicken and not pigs? And I don't think we've released it enough. I mean, Mr. Al is strapped as it is, and I think it's too much to police.
Believe it or not, there actually is a pig in the borough.
I'm sure there is. I've seen that pigs on leashes. Not in town here, but
There is.
I think my thought right now is then if we go forward, certainly to move cautiously for more public input, because I don't have a sense of a real groundswell from residents to do this. Unless I've missed something. I've heard one or two people be interested. So I would be concerned that there's one or two folks who really want it, or a few more, but we don't really have a sense of where our residents stand on this issue. It's been raised, good information, but, you know, we were looking at our residents for recreational vehicles. Look around town. We know there's recreational vehicles that need to be dealt with. The dog ordinance, we have a lot of dog owners, need an ordinance for that. Chicken people, not sure. I just don't know.
Very, very fair point. Yeah, I think we should proceed very cautiously, digest it.
Yeah.
It never hurts to discuss.
Right.
Never hurts to discuss.
I'll just add, I would probably be a no. I don't think there's adequate space for it. I don't want to see it in the borough, because I think we'll get a lot of complaints once the smell starts going through the neighborhoods.
Angie, you had a question?
The highlights that you have here in yellow, are these like the most important, like, parts that you picked out that?
Not necessarily,
Okay.
but just kind of, you know, some of it is really just, and like I said, there are approaches out there where some don't address it. You know, if they have wide open zoning, like in the agricultural area or something, they may just overlay it with animal. I think if somebody's going to do this, it does make sense though to have a dual set of ordinances, one that's an animal control regulation ordinance specifically for chickens. Sometimes they're, you know, more robust than that, and will be, you know, there are 5 different kinds of animals we're talking about. Again, it's different when you're a city and a borough, just physically, than, you know, like all the townships we represent.
Right.
And there aren't a lot of, you know, 2-acre yards out there in your borough. you know, feels different, I think, you know, if somebody has 5 acres or whatever, they want to have some chickens out there. But it really is what do the citizens want, and then, you know, you guys have to make sense out of rules that balance what the citizens want.
Well, let's digest this a little bit more.
Okay, the remainder of the information in my report is all informational. You'll see in number 3, the Girl Scouts are going to be in the park again this year for their program. Number 4, I'll point out that I did send an email to Penn Ways. I know they did have some issues with COVID, but I did see a few complaints. We did get some here at the borough that they were told they weren't going to come back till the following week, not the weekend. So my direction to Penn Ways was, well, we agreed to a 1-day delay, like when there's issues or snow, but I don't think we should be pushing these things out into the following week. And they should be using their overtime to do that, because we paying more for garbage and trash collections this year, and I think they have an obligation to stick to that one day. So they said they were going to work on that now. I know we had snow today, so we can push back. But I went on record informing that. Number 5 there is just information on our latest operations committee meeting where the JV reported on their plans for capital projects for this year. They talked about how they had to bump a number of their projects from 2021 into this year because of COVID delays, and that it's going to result in a larger capital cost recovery charge for this coming year as they push all these things into 1 year. Also there in number 6, just an update that I've been still in communication with PennDOT officials about the future of the Mill Street station, and hopefully we'll have a meeting before the end of this month. Number 8, just to let you know that Public Works is still working with the engineering firm trying to get this fob video security system project off the ground. And we have Josh Sheets here tonight from HRG. I asked him to come so he could give us an update on a number of projects that we're working with them on. Sure. And they're working with us. Josh, go ahead if you want to take it, or maybe you want to start with the Hopper Park project.
Yeah. So end of last year, we had sat down with with Rogel, the construction kickoff. We call it a pre-construction meeting. So we kind of just go over some of the contract terms and kind of procedures of how that's going to go. So we're currently working with Rogel to review their equipment submittals and finalizing those here hopefully in the next week or 2. Construction scheduled to start in March with equipment kind of mid-April, somewhere in there, mid to late April. Was there anything specific on that project anyone wanted to discuss?
Colors, with the colors, we're good to go with those. Any questions or concerns?
I think we were mostly good to go with that. I think me, Ken, and Jim we're working through some small hiccups there. Just kind of confirming some things, make sure everything was the way the rendering was designed. But
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sure. The MRC, the designer, provided us with all the equipment colors that they use for the rendering. So.
I do want to iron out a rumor. I received a call today from a resident. I guess there's a rumor going around town that the ADA equipment had been removed. Can you just go on record saying that that is not the case?
Can you define what you meant? That the ADA equipment?
The play?
Yes.
I mean, we have the occlusive whirl and the sensory dome still in the project.
Was anything removed that was ADA compliant?
The only thing that was removed that I'm aware of was just the sandbox.
The sandbox, and that was originally discussed
It
when
was discussed a long time ago.
the state wouldn't allow that in the grant because the sandbox attracts cats, vermin who want to get in there.
But that is a rumor that is flying around. I did receive a call from a resident on it. I just want to go on record that that is not the case.
Good.
Did you get a call? Great.
I did.
Yes,
And,
because I sent them.
I informed them they were talking about Oak Hills and Overdeer where things got cut, not Hopper Park.
Okay, I'm glad you did confirm.
They were a little confused as to which part.
I was even confused, to be quite honest. Just
Speaking of Oak Hills, do you have any questions about Hopper?
Yeah, so I guess to segue into Oak Hills
Josh,
project.
may I ask a quick question about Hopper? If we wanted to do like a little groundbreaking ceremony, when would that be?
We could certainly coordinate that with Rogel.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, if it was more just a borough, like, it depends on how extravagant you want to get. You know,
Right.
If it's just a shovel ceremony,
We could do that whenever. Like I said, construction's scheduled to start, so we'll start mobilizing here probably the end of February, early March, when they're scheduled to
Okay.
come on the site.
Well, we'll give it some thought.
So yeah, it could
Get back to
really
you.
be whenever you want.
Okay.
That'd be nice. So the Oak Hills Park project, that changed from the Oak Hills Park and Overdeer project to just the Oak Hills Park project. And in terms of equipment there, nothing changed in terms of the equipment design or the ADA components of that project either. We simply took away the Overdeer Park from the project. So the walking trail was shortened slightly, but there's still gonna be a nice connectivity throughout the grounds there with a walking path. So that project went out to bid. We decided to wait till the beginning of this year to bid that, just so that the contract, the bidding times weren't in the middle of the holidays. So it gives bidders more time to focus on it and submit any questions. So bids open on that project February 8th with construction loosely scheduled to start near the end of June. The Union Street and E-Mall paver project the paving project to remove the pavers. We're currently working through the bidding documents and plans for that. Plan to schedule that for bidding so that we can open bids and get construction kind of kicked off right during the paving season as it starts. So we'll probably open bids for that late March. The East Roosevelt Oak Hills traffic study. Again, with the holidays and Penn State being on break, we have that scheduled to start mid-January here, and completion for that will be sometime in March. We're going to work to hopefully get you that for the March calendar meeting, just depending on how the deliverable works out. It might be the April meeting that you guys receive that. We're working through some feasibility studies for your MS4 requirements to get that project kicked off and completed by 2024. So we're working with some communication with FEMA and FEMA on some of your hazard mitigation properties to see if we can put a BMP on a borough-owned property so we don't have to deal with easements or anything like that. And then the only other item I had was just wanted to touch base on the comprehensive park plan that we had provided at the end of last year. I understand there was some desire to move forward on that. Just wanted to bring that up again. Any questions or anything I brought up or, oh, and I'm sorry, I forgot one, the Spruce Street storm sewer relocation. We actually got in touch with Cooper, the electrical engineer. So we're gonna just discuss the status of that project with them. As far as our portion of it, we're just dealing with the storm sewer. It's a design, as far as I know, is complete pending communication with them to make sure our stuff is out of the way of their stuff. So, any questions? Anything for me?
As far as the comprehensive study, if you recall, that was one of the items that got removed from the budget for this year. But we talked about possibly looking at year end when the audit completes, which will probably be the end of February, to see what kind of funds that may have been unexpended for year end 2022, and determine whether or not you want to reallocate them toward a project such as this. So when Sally gets that information, we can let you know that we take out all the
Thank you, Ken.
other funds. One thing that I would add, Josh, that we have in hand now is the traffic study for safety study.
Oh,
for
yes,
Main
sorry, I
Street.
glanced over that one on my notes here.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And that one has been delivered. Greg has that. He was looking at it. I think the direction was for us to comment at this point. There's a number of potential recommendations in there to make the pedestrian crossing safer as far as piano key crosswalks and things like that. I think it didn't have, the study didn't show that there were actually 2 fatalities at Spruce and Main, and that may be, we don't know why, that may be because they weren't reported to PennDOT.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Maybe our police department didn't file those. with
Yeah,
PennDOT.
Eric was aware of that, I
Oh, he
think.
was?
I looked into that, I believe the wording in the report was that it was through the PennDOT system, that there weren't any fatalities reported, so. Yeah, we'd be happy to, Eric Stump is our traffic engineer, him and I would be happy to sit down and discuss any plans you guys would like to incorporate.
I think once Greg probably reviews it, or, you know, he can sit down.
Sure.
And we'll see what's most cost effective for us to do.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you, Josh, appreciate it. Anyone report?
Unless anybody has any other questions, you can move on to next.
Agenda item number 4. Mr. Al?
We issued 38 building and zoning permits in December, which was rather busy for this late in winter. 6 pre-sale sidewalk inspections, received 7 complaints, and issued 13 notice of violations for various code issues. And we will be reviewing Woodland Hills, the final phases, 6B, 8, 9, and 10B of Woodland Hills. That's the final 4 phases of the subdivision. So they just started doing construction, I think, for the last month up the phases 4, 5, and 7. So they'll probably have the plan recorded in April or May and have their NPDES permits by midsummer or late summer, something like that. Not sure if they'll continue on with that. There's close to 100 lots, I think, in 4, 5, and 7, 75 to 100, but those are mostly townhouses.
Nice.
Other than that, that's not bad.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Thank you. Agenda item number 5. Sally?
Welcome, Justice Strong. I haven't met you. If anybody doesn't have any questions on my general items on my report, I do have a request that is related to the electric trust fund. I'm requesting permission to be able to transfer funds from the trust to electric to cover any overages on pass-through costs. And I attached a spreadsheet from this year that shows that through November, we had $385,712.50 that was over on the average pass-through costs that are typically at 0.050 is what we have generally been at, but we're currently at an average of 0.56. Now these transfers would only occur if we are over that 0.050 and if we are in a negative revenue or bottom line negative situation. So I just wanted permission to move forward for approval to be able to do that at your next meeting.
Anybody have any questions or concerns to do that?
So you want it on the agenda for us to vote on at the next meeting?
Yes.
We did get a written
I'm sorry.
confirmation from our solicitor that would be proper use of trust funds. So we'll have that for our.
Yes, and we have discussed this in public meeting before, but this is permitted under the trust if council so inclined to do it. It's consistent with the trust.
That's good, that's helpful.
Do you know what kind of rate increase it would end up being if the money wasn't transferred? Because that's the point, right? That to
Yes.
transfer the money so there isn't a rate increase. Do you know what the rate increase would be? Or
Well,
you
it would
won't know?
probably fall in line with that 0.006. I mean, we wouldn't raise rates for more than what we're absorbing. Correct, Greg?
You said 0.006?
Yeah, if, right now.
Half a penny,
Yeah,
or give or take, yes.
yeah. So we would only raise the rate of electric for the amount that we're over that 0.050, which is built into our current electric rate. So we would transfer funds to offset that so we wouldn't increase our electric rate to residents.
And do you know where the electric fund ended up for last year? Or, I know you said the audit should be done end of February.
Yes, but the electric trust right now is sitting at 10,362,000, which is on my cash balance report, and that is through November.
And what about the actual electric fund itself? Do you know where that ended up?
The electric fund itself is at 12,172,000. Any other questions?
Go ahead, no, you can go first.
So the donations received in December of 2021, where it says HRG, that is toward 2022, correct?
Yeah, it's sitting in your account. It's in there for 2022. It's just given to us and noted in 2021.
And where it says carriage rides various, that's actually the
Donation.
money made from the night of the
Yes.
carriage rides.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Line item 1, where it says Mayor's Christmas ornament sale, is that the money from which funds were taken to purchase the trees for Hopper Park?
No, yes, that would have come out of there, yes, correct.
And that amount was $666.65?
Correct.
So you have this line item that says Hopper Park Christmas tree donations, various 40532, that's what you received from,
Donations.
so we're short 261.33.
Correct.
My understanding was that whoever had committed to buy trees for Hopper Park, that's how many we were ordering. Remember the discussion about the trees for Hopper Park?
Like the decorative ones, yeah.
Right. And there was a big discussion here at council chambers. And there was a lot of logistics that would have went into taking orders from people, transferring the money to the borough, and having the borough place the order on Amazon, or whatever. And I said, just use my account so you get the donations back. Well, it appears that we ordered $666.65 worth of trees, when we only had orders for $405.32.
So there's like two
shortage.
So
Did you get an update on that?
That is the update, the 40532. That's what is committed.
So what's happening with the balance?
She also got an email from me as well.
Yes, I did.
That said what?
That was the extent of the
That was the
donation.
extent of the donations.
So then why did we order 666?
That's not what the email said.
What does the email say?
The email stated that when we came in front of you, we had that many donations. But when it had to go through the borough, there were people that backed out after we already ordered. Is what the email said.
Interesting. All we heard the night that we had the discussion was how eager everyone was to order them, and how people had money pledged, although there were no checks in hand. And now, after it's all said and done, there's a shortage. It is what it is, but that is mightily disappointing. And I feel was not a truthful representation. Kelly, do you have anything else? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I have a couple questions actually. On the, I have to blow these up because I cannot read them. I don't know how you scan them, but I cannot read them when they come through. They're so tall. But on the, so on the Christmas ornament sale thing, at the end of 2020, 12/31/2020, you have a balance of 0, but then at 1/31/2021, there's a $500 balance. So was that a donation
Yes.
or?
Yeah. So any monies in that, either positive or negative, would be a So if you look at the 500, that would have been a donation. And then down below is the 666.65, which was monies going out. And then we had carriage rides, donations, and HRG donations that went in. And then we had the Christmas tree donations that went in. That leaves you at the balance.
Right, so the $500 was a donation at the beginning of last year.
Yeah, I think, yes. Looks
Okay,
like it's
so,
January.
and then the HRG donation that's on this sheet for the carriage rides is for 2022, correct?
Yeah, it was submitted in December though.
But it's for the carriage rides
Yes.
for 2022?
Correct.
Is that the idea?
Yes.
Okay, so then the carriage ride donations, the $1,108, or no, I'm sorry, not that one, the $955. Is that in here also?
That's part of the carriage ride donation, HRDG donation. So if you add the 1108 and the 955.
The 2063?
Yeah.
But shouldn't the 955 come out of, or go back to the account that the carriage rides that paid for?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I agree, because the carriage ride check, that was just Borough Council voting to pay for carriage rides to give it to the community. I didn't pay for that out of this fund.
Okay.
That came out of the general fund, so the 955
Should go back
should
to
go
the
back to
general.
that.
Or where, because I was looking and in 2019, I think we did the same thing, but it was moved to the beautification fund.
It's a good question.
And I am curious, I didn't know until I read this, what is the podium from HRG?
That is a donation for a podium that was ordered. It was approved for order.
For podium for where?
I believe, Jim, it's a podium for special presentation, correct? That he got the donation for the full amount.
Podium for a special presentation? A special presentation or a podium that's gonna be used all the
Yeah.
time?
Podium that's going to be used for professional engagements for the borough. This was brought up at a Borough Council meeting, at a public meeting. I asked everybody at the table if there was any objection to the donation, described that it was a replica of the podium used by the President of the United States. And hearing no objection, took the donation.
Do you know what meeting that was?
Grace.
I can look it up.
Could you and let me know, please? Thank you, I would appreciate it, because I think that that's a lot for a podium for a special presentation. So I want to be on record as saying that.
How much is it?
That's it. Thank you.
And we appreciate the contribution from HRG on that.
Yes.
Very much so.
Thank you.
Any other
It was
questions?
paid in full by HRG.
Yes.
Yes, I do note that it was paid in full, and thank you for donating. I just think that as a borough, if we're gonna get donations for $6,000, we could use it for something more than a podium, like the fence at Hoffer Park that we need to prevent kids from crossing the train tracks and getting hit, but that's my opinion. That's it. But thank
Any other
you.
questions?
No, glad to stuff.
I sincerely.
Agenda item number 6, Mr. Baldwin.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's good to be back in front of this lovely podium. So, do apologize for my absence. As you know, I was really sick, and now I am well.
We're glad to hear that.
Leaning forward, so. As you see, you got my report there in front of you. Obviously, the usual calls for the month. A couple other notes to talk about real quick, since we have the public and the public use this, is parking issues that people need to make sure they park in the appropriate way and on the streets, or they'll get warned and then probably fined after that with a ticket. Secondly, during emergency winter emergencies that are called during the winter, during a storm, obviously declarations, they require people to remove their vehicles from the roadways so that they can be plowed and not damaged. And if not, they will be towed without hesitation. And the reason I bring this up is just to educate the public, because I think it's important that they all know that. And so they're not surprised if their guy's not there when they come back around after a storm. Safety, safety for all, including the plow guys, because Lord knows they work long hours and they don't want to hit a cow. Right? Truth. So, and obviously, safety is a big concern, so. Anything for me?
Mr. Baldwin, you requested a time to meet with the mayor, borough council in executive session. Is that going to be tonight?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I would like to say something. I've been watching the new traffic signal for the pedestrians at the train station, which I can see from the window of my house. And people come up to that, they push the button, the lights begin to flash, and none of the traffic stops. So I think, sometimes they're standing there for a while.
So it's funny you brought that up. So that has been a concern for not only for us in the borough, but it's been a concern for Penn State at Harrisburg, across the way, because they talked to PennDOT, and that was a concern that maybe you should put some type of bridge walk or something. And apparently they did not want to do that because we are concerned, like you, that something may tragically happen and pedestrians walking across get hit by a car or vehicle or truck, because that's a main thoroughway, one of the main thoroughways. So we are deeply concerned. We will do our best to manage that the best we can.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
If you can see that light flashing brightly from my house, you're certainly going to see it if you're driving on Main Street.
And not to be cynical, but it's realistically, it's not conducive to that area. They need something a lot different than just flashing lights, because it's a lot of traffic and a lot of people crossing the street. And you're gonna have more people crossing the street, using the train, and going to school, and then getting on the train. So it is a concern of mine and the rest of the officers. Well, and I've actually, now that you talk about it, I actually been in touch with the manager of Amtrak, the one that's in charge of that station. So I've been waiting for a reply back for a meeting to discuss some of these safety concerns. I did do that. I did that last November, end of November.
Anybody else have questions for Mr. Baldwin? Another question?
Yes, ma'am.
I had a resident reach out to me that lives on Spring Street. So regarding the speeding issue that's there in that first block right off of campus. So the electronic speeding signs, there's one on Oak Hill Drive that's been there for a while. Can we move that from Oak Hill down to by the cemetery?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
And you can pull the reports from Oak Hill, right?
Yeah.
If you could pull those, and if we could get a copy of those.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Baldwin.
Yes, thank you.
Agenda item number 7, Public Works.
Okay, a couple points of interest I'd like to bring up. Number one is the recent snowstorms that we had. I did not include this last one with the 150 tons of salt. So with the two previous we had at the beginning of the month, we spread 115 tons of salt during those two storms. Also in the process of that, Public Works went down 3 out of, I think, 6 of our big trucks during the storm, and that wasn't even a big storm. And again, we keep talking about the age of these units, and Matt and I are in discussions, and we're trying to come up with some brainstorming, doing some ideas on some funding, you know, to get some replacements on these. One of them is a pickup truck, which was, that engine was dead last year, and that's not an issue with that. We do have money in the budget, it's in there to replace it. But the ones that are down, the big ones are the big money trucks. They're the ones that plow the big storms. And actually, one of them was a fairly new truck that was down, but the other ones were older. And you're talking, you know, you're plowing with 25-year-old trucks plus, they may even be close to 30. You know, that's what happens. So luckily, the storms weren't that big that, you know, we couldn't drop down and throw someone a pickups right away. But just to let you know on that. Item number 12, I'm bringing this up just to let council know that we're back on the RV and the trailers that have been parked in the streets. We do have an ordinance, and it kind of was let go there for a while because of issues on how to handle the legal end of a unit parked in the street for 3 days and proving it, you know, to district justice and so forth, and how the officers have to do it. So what we're doing is Harry, our new guy with the codes office, is actually going out and he is taking pictures and he is recording. He will be the borough's professional witness in this. But our idea is, what we're gonna do is work with the police department. He's gonna get you the plates off of these units, and we'd like to send out letters, just giving our residents, you know, time and a notice, rather than actually setting fines up. And then after a week or so passes, after the letters are, you know, giving them time, then we'll work with the police department on the violation end of it. But we have the ordinance in place. It is winter time. It is really tough when you're flying around them. So it's
Just to reiterate what that ordinance says, basically, correct me if I'm wrong, if any RVs or travel trailers are only permitted to be parked on the street for 3 days. Is that correct?
72, I think it was 72 hours for unloading and loading purposes.
And other than that, you need to be stored or parked somewhere.
Correct.
It can't be on the street.
And I guess the issue came with the police department that I guess chalking the tires is illegal. So what we decided is we'll do the pictures and we'll just go out and take a picture every day. So if he takes a picture of that unit there every day and logs it, he will just, you know, he is a code officer, sworn to duty. He will be the borough's professional witness in this for the police department. That'll allow them to better utilize their time on other things.
So I asked Greg to bring this up tonight as another way of getting it out to the public, what we're looking at. There is an ordinance there, so that people aren't surprised, and you as a council aren't surprised when people come in here and complain that they were tagged or ticketed for having their motor home and the trailer on the borough street. Because it's one of those ordinances that has not been enforced for some time, like Greg said. And even prior to our ordinance, when there wasn't one, people have been parking there. And I think we recently documented there's about 12 of these out there right now. So we wanted to let you know what our intention was to move forward with that, to give you an opportunity to comment.
And I think for the most part, most of the people, the owners of the units know. Because when the ordinance was passed, it was in the paper and so forth. That's when the journal was still up. And they did. There wasn't units, there were not units in the streets parked anymore for the most part because of, you know, but when they found out that they were no longer going to get tickets because of not chalking tires and we stopped enforcing the ordinance, then they just went back to their own ways of parking it there. So again, it's an ordinance and we have to abide by it, and this is how we figured would be the best way to notify, you know.
As long as the postal service gets those letters out.
Correct, I agree. So is there any questions on that? Yes.
How much of his time do you think is going to be absorbed by doing this?
To do that for 3 days in a row, I mean, I didn't ask him, but it's, if he has an hour into it or so, I don't think it's that long.
And is this the like long-term solution or the short-term solution until something is done with the ordinance?
Well, I mean, the ordinance was changed because of them, so the ordinance is the ordinance. I would say this is the solution. This is how we move forward. We can always look at updating our policy on it if council wants to. You know, one of the things we talked about was maybe getting stickers. We can just go out and put the sticker on the side of the trailer that says the ordinance and allows the resident, because you might get a new resident that doesn't know that there's an ordinance on this.
Well, and the reason I'm asking is because like, okay, so now it might take an hour, but in the summer and spring when people are using them more, obviously there's gonna be more sitting around, so his time is gonna be increased. So is it gonna get to the point where it becomes too much? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I don't think, I would think he's pretty good at time management and he's pretty thorough in what he does. He's not gonna allow something such as that to dictate his daily operations. He's not gonna do that. So, it's, you know who the violators are.
Oh, I know.
It's the same. It's the same one. So
where we live, and I see the same one.
You may have one or two that'll buck the system and say, "Oh, I moved it 2 feet every day." And if they want to go through that, then they go through it. I mean, nothing we can really do except, work on changing that policy. But Harry will be fine.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. If there's a flaw in the ordinance, which is my understanding that it is, then maybe that is something long-term. I know you guys have been looking at it.
You mean as far as just doing no parking whatsoever?
Well, I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if it's not enforceable the way that it's written without having...
Correct.
It just seems...
Well, and that's what the last conversation was just making it no parking at all on the streets. And we kind of just let that ordinance out there.
Right.
It never really materialized into, changes to our laws.
That's what it seems to me, is we do have the ability to say no parking.
Correct.
But we decided on behalf of our residents, just, to be a little more accommodating and say 72 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So to your point, it requires some kind of maintenance of the ordinance. And I think that is a fine way to take a stab at it. It's the best solution we've heard yet in terms of accommodating our residents who have vehicles.
Yeah, the other thing is due process wise, because, when you're dealing with traffic controls, you're not going to put signs on every street, every 20 feet, saying, here's the rule. So we do need to document, no matter what you put in the ordinance, if you're not doing that, we have to prove that person knew about it. So I'm assuming if you're giving a notice out, you're keeping a log of that. So once that party has notice, you don't need to re-notice them in the due process sense. So if Joe Smith has gotten this, they're aware of the ordinance, then they know about it, and then maybe you are proving the 72 hours and maybe you're taking pictures of the orientation of the valve stems instead of somebody marking it.
Right.
I'm comfortable with that, but there is hopefully an economy of scale, whereas in the log, you now know, maybe new people come to town, they don't know, because you don't know. You pull up on the street, there's not, we kind of think, we in the room all know because we've been talking about this, but you don't know, and remember, it's not everyone. There are some size. Is it this wide? Is it this long? Before it triggers potentially, but we do have to have that due process step in there.
Yeah.
And that's one way, a good way of doing it. It's either that or you are doing a hang tag kind of thing where you're putting something on the vehicle that.
And it may, the individuals that do have the trailers out there may come to grips that this is the ordinance and they'll have to find storage or somewhere else to keep it. And we don't have to go to that next step that really punishes the people that follow the ordinance, that need that that trailer there overnight because they're doing their loading and stuff like that. So hopefully, hopefully the residents will abide by it. And we don't have to go further and say no.
Yeah.
But it's just this is just an information item in case you get some calls. I'm sure you may, maybe not.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
You're welcome. Two other things. One's an action item, but I'll get to that after this. With the train station being open now and the ribbon cutting today, and you take that drive down New Emall Street Extended. Some of you might not know, but in 2019, 2020, we tried a program through Multimodal to do Emall Street from Wood Street to Union Street, such as what was done downtown.
Yeah.
The new lanterns, new sidewalks, curbing, lanterns, get the street paved, bicycle route, that keeps it from Main Street and brings it down to your bicycle route on Union Street, because that is part of multimodal. Multimodal is to give you a reliable system of, pedestrian, bicycle, safety, transportation. Then the code, one of the things that happened is we did not get approved for that program. It is, the grants are competitive. So I'm trying to get a consensus of council whether or not we still want to reapply for this. It's the application period is from between March and June, I believe. And to give you a little background on it, the initial cost estimation from the engineers, I believe, was around $600,000. Our match is 30%, which would have been $180,000. You can expect that number to be higher now with inflation. If, council decides to go through it, I would have to get back with our engineers and, redo the application. Personally, I think it's well worth the investment. If you look at, that is your gateway from Penn State and all the students to a downtown. And you have this section right there and here that is totally different than what you're seeing coming in. With the nice historic lights coming down through to what you have here, it will open up the look.
Craig, do you think we would have a better chance now that the project is completed, the train station is completed?
I would say yes, and maybe that's the point that we could make. Maybe they just didn't think at the time it was
whatever happened.
Yeah, but now when you look at that, it is the only section that's left between your downtown and the main part of Penn State, and it could open up a bunch of businesses in this area.
Right.
So it was a project, like I said, that a couple years ago I thought about, and it would have included, again, cutting off the alley over here to make that safer for the people that walk the alley, for the downtown that use our parking lots. So we would also be looking at our end of some of the work, which is finishing the parking lot out here and doing some of that work to create, the pedestrian end. So.
I just wanted to say, I agree with Mr. Wills. I think it would be an excellent idea.
Yeah.
I think we should move forward. Especially, only having to bring 30% to the table.
Yeah.
For some new infrastructure, aesthetically pleasing infrastructure.
We might want to get an update on the estimate from some.
That's what we would definitely have to. That would be a definite as far as part of the proposal. With the application to the.
We'll have to figure out where we're going to get our share of money.
Is that something HRG can help us out with, or is it just?
Didn't somebody already design this stuff?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
HRG or was it?
No, it was, Navarre was part of that.
We have it, we just need to, we have the design work, we just need to resubmit for approval of the funds.
Correct.
Yeah, we need to update the estimate, come back to you, tell you what the estimate is today. Is it 600,000 still, or is it $1 million?
Well,
Is 30% $1 million would be 300,000, or do we get our 300,000 before we move forward?
No, it doesn't hurt to ask.
I was saying, you should get a little more information before
Yeah.
you submit a grant application.
Well, I agree, but I didn't want to do any of that until we
have a few months
we have a
before.
well, no, you don't. I mean, you have to, we got to do this, like, work on it now.
That's what I
Or
mean.
getting the cost estimate, and you get that application in March, which is, 2 meetings away for these guys, so.
I'm in favor of him moving forward with getting estimates now.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah. Okay. Everybody else good?
Yep.
All right, excellent.
Can we see the design again? I know I remember when we did it last time,
Mhm.
but I don't remember what else. Can you show us?
It
the
was,
design?
it really was updating, it was updating the lighting and the sidewalks and the curbing. The paving, the new paving from Wood Street to there.
Wait, when you say new paving, clarify.
Paving the blacktop.
Not those pavers that are.
No,
Okay,
that's,
I just
I
wanna
mean,
make sure.
we're past, I mean, if you wanted to wait for that, possible, maybe I wouldn't. I think we're moving on that one already.
Okay, just making sure.
It may have included that on the first round. That
that's
may
why-
have, I think that might have been in there to take them
I
out.
think, okay.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we looked at it.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I think we actually did look at taking that out, and they looked at putting stamp in, so it may reduce that price.
Yeah, Mr. Wu, how about you clarify all that, maybe
Okay.
shoot it in an email, shoot for us the print so we can refresh our
Yeah.
memories, and,
I mean, I'm fine with moving, I just would like to see it again.
Well, and
It's been a while.
the other object of this is, there was a mistake on the purchasing of the light fixtures for the, projects up there, because they had to be made in America, and they had already ordered, the ones that were made in Mexico. So there's a company that's sitting on 15, 20 lights, I don't know how many it is, that offered, at a heck of a discount to the borough. If I knew the project was gonna go through, I'd hop on, I think it was like $1,000 a light. These
But they're
light-
not US Steel. I mean, you're bound by, when we do public works, we have to follow that procurement requirement, the US Steel.
But, bought or purchased US.
Yeah, so are you saying?
I don't
they didn't
know.
qualify for the,
They didn't qualify for that project,
Yeah.
and they were already ordered.
But-
So
my gut would tell me they wouldn't qualify for our public works.
I don't remember
Okay.
that being
You'll have
part,
to look
I
at
don't think that
exactly
was
what-
part of
What the
this.
disqualified
Correct.
piece of it is.
Yeah.
if it's not grant money and we just wanted to purchase it, would it have to be?
Yeah, we can purchase that and that's considered our match, because I have some down there at
You're
the
not doing this through
substation.
well, we're still doing it for procurement, we'll have to look at.
Yeah, I have some down at the substation that were made in Mexico, and they were allowed to be part of our match.
Okay.
So our match isn't just
Yeah, you're not
cash
using the grant to
required.
buy these.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I'll have to look at that. But that's,
Well, we'll have to look at get the details, hammer out.
Okay, I mean, I wanted to bring it back because, again, after sitting there, I really do, my personal opinion, it's a worthwhile project to get this final piece done
yeah.
It's great, yeah, it was fantastic that it's done,
and get our parking lot done.
Where was the grant coming from?
Multimodal.
Okay. Yeah, so that, their piece would have to be under the procurement code, the state procurement.
Correct. Finally, I had no action items, but I actually do. I was just handed this. It is to advertisement of the Parks and Rec ordinance, limiting the use of lighted areas with a special permit from the Office of the Borough Manager. Otherwise, all parks will be closed at dusk. So, I don't know if you have the ordinances. I think you should have that ordinance in front of you. But, I would like that to be put on the agenda to advertise.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So-
Anybody, any more questions for Mr. Wolfbach? Oh, go ahead.
You stated a few meetings ago about changing the speed limit.
Correct, we're waiting on signs. Yeah, there was a study done for Main Street after the, pedestrian, and speed study.
I think the signs just came in late.
The signs, so we're required to change the signs. It drops from 35 to 30 mile an hour
Oh, really?
on Main Street.
That's gonna be big news for, I think.
Well, I mean, we have issues with
No, I'm not saying it's
pedestrian.
not. I'm
No,
just saying
and I think the borough is really doing its due diligence with the speed studies, with the pedestrian study. That was a thorough, pedestrian study.
We should start communicating this with the residents, maybe like through social media, Facebook, like letting people know, hey,
Yeah.
30 days from now, 60 days from now, whatever it is, Main Street, is going to be changing from 35 to 30. Start letting people get the word out.
Yeah, I think we got this approval several months back. I thought we reported it then, but.
You did.
We did, but that's, yeah.
But yeah, we can put it on Facebook. We'll have to put something on about that. Maybe we get it.
I knew we would do
An estimate from Greg when those signs will be going up so they can have.
They just came and they were on back order, so.
Oh, yeah.
You could get the message board out there too.
Yeah, I'm sure we could probably do something with the message board if it's working. Whatever you need. Thank you, buddy.
It should. We just order a bunch of new batteries and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff for that.
So,
Should be.
again, like I said, we'll do whatever it takes, and it will definitely be on the borough's website.
So is that going to affect how soon are we talking here?
Well, once the signs go up,
30 days, 60 days, 90 days?
well,
120.
it's a little tough with the snow and ice on, because a lot of it is your sidewalks, it's concrete, so putting the new breakaway poles in concrete takes a lot longer than just taking the sign down and putting it up. We do have to follow, and I believe they are going to require posts out there. I don't.
Oh, so you're not just replacing the sign, you're getting the.
If we're putting a sign up, it has to be put up.
Breakaway.
Well, and the correct height. A lot of the stuff was,
Aren't
old
right.
poles, and
Okay.
so, if it was just, and I don't know if, they have to be after each intersection within 200 feet or whatever it is.
Right.
So there's going to be signs potentially where there weren't signs before to make everything legal.
Okay, all right, well, that's good to know. Thank you for.
All right, any questions on anything else?
No, I think we're good. Thank you.
Super sorry, guys, that this isn't done. We are working on it. We're not just sitting down, but
And we know there's
things
snow.
are a process, and
We know there's
we gotta
snow.
wait on some contractors on some things, but we are making some progress, and it'll be nice when it's done.
So good. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Agenda item number 8, Suez joint venture. I guess it's not Suez anymore. Doesn't matter, they're not here.
Yeah, we'll say that just received communication today. I think I forwarded this council today that they will be rebranding in the near future from Suez to a new name, a new logo. Now that Veolia has purchased them.
Agenda item number 9, council/mayor. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add, comment on? Ms. Wood?
Sally, can you come up for a second? So, at the last meeting with Suez, I had, you had asked them about the online bill pay, and I know you had sent an email.
Yes.
Could you just update what they said about the online bill pay for the Suez customers?
Okay, offhand, they said it would be, I'm sorry.
I know, I didn't.
They have started the process, and I think it will be available, did they say 60 days?
Yeah,
I have your email.
that's what I think they said.
Yeah, oh
And
yeah,
they
Jenny,
said something, they said something about they hadn't determined the fees yet.
Yeah, so I'm sure that they're working with a bank, because they'd have to work with a transfer agent, which would be the bank, to set the fees for utilization of the online payment, just like we do.
Yeah.
But I think it was 60 days.
I think too it was.
Yeah, you second quarter in the second quarter.
Yeah, second quarter.
And do you want to update on the other part too?
The,
Do you want me to read your email to you?
No. No. The low-income assistance program.
Yeah.
So they did discuss that. They're looking into different programs that would allow for assistance like we do with LIHEAP and with Interfaith for customers for water and sewer. So they didn't really get into too much detail with it. They just said they were looking into it. And
They almost seem like they didn't understand it. That's what I took.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what program they're using.
Yeah, I didn't understand that part.
But they did say it was through the state.
They said this new program's through the state.
Yeah.
But it was like, they had to decide if they wanted to use it. Well, it's not up to them to decide. That's what
Yeah.
confused me.
So I don't know if they're gonna put out information to residents that say they can apply. But like any program, there's gonna be strict stipulations on income, number of household members, and all of that, just like LIHEAP and Interfaith. But that was 2 pieces of good news.
Yeah. Well, that online bill pay has been taking a long time. I thought they were going to work with the same vendor that the borough was working with.
Heartland?
We gave them
Yeah.
our information.
Well, we're moving to Open Ed now.
Well, I hope they're not going with Heartland now.
Well, they actually have a better rate for our residents.
Really?
Yeah.
No, wait.
This is with Tyler.
Okay.
Yeah, Tyler, Open Edge. Open Edge is the
Is it
better.
better rate than Heartland?
Yes.
Okay. That was it. I just know that, like, people have been asking about the.
Yeah,
online
they
bill
didn't
pay.
give too much detail. They kind of did a flyby, but those were the key points. They didn't spend much time on either topic. They did bring it up.
Excellent, thank you, Sam. Any council, any other council members? At this time, do I have general public comment? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? We will be going to executive session to discuss personnel, real estate, and potential litigation. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Will you be returning?
We will not be returning.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone.